Today on the Star Trek Critic, Hero Worship, the Enterprise is looking for the starship Vico, which they have lost contact with. The show starts with Felton saying the first I, Data says I number 2, Riker does Picard maneuvers 1 and 2. They find the Vico now think, wow, that ship is more messed up than the narrator using an AI voice. 5 decks are exposed to space, so let's go over and see what happened. The first point is lost for beaming down without spacesuits. Riker, Geordi, and Data walk through a maze, and they hate it when the set designers put in booby traps, and they find a trapped kid. The transporter chief does not follow the teachings of Yoda. Riker says I number 3. Data lifts up the beam and saves the kid, but then he sees Dr. Crusher, who says don't be afraid. Never use that line if you are a doctor. That's what all psychopaths say in horror movies. Timothy says they were attacked. Then he got his hand caught in superglue and is now stuck to Data. Geordi and Picard are playing an online game of Battleship. Geordi says, we should wait here and get as much information as we can before we go into the Black Cluster. Picard says, no, we should go into the Black Cluster and find out how they got destroyed by getting ourselves destroyed the same way. Geordi describes to Data a childhood traumatic event, since Data is always learning about the human experience. Beverly tells Deanna she has her work cut out. Deanna says, nah, I'm just going to drop him off in the school where they will all expect him to blend in like his parents, and ship didn't get destroyed and he thinks it was his fault. It's not like he was traumatized by any of this. 1 point loss for just dropping him off at the school to be babysat. Picard shows off his gray shirt. The information about the Vico isn't adding up. 1 point lost for a boom reflection. 1 point lost for a single set of doors on the turbolift, and 1 point lost for Deanna in a catsuit for ratings. And all they did was walk around the bridge and talk. Deanna recommends Data talk to Timothy. Data says I number 4. Timothy calls Data the second baseman. Data gives a terrible review of the Dokkaran Temple, and -1 point for leaving a traumatized child all by himself. This ship has a crew of 1,000, and there should be trained counselors for kids with lost parents. The aliens on Koinonia did a better job. Miss Kyle could talk to him, or Keiko. It's highly unlikely a 10-year-old will try to build something this way, so -1 point. Now he has to stand there perfectly still for 30 minutes while Data puts together the temple in front of a high-speed camera. Childhood trauma is a real thing, and emulating a person that saved his life, who has no emotion, is the perfect escape for a traumatized child. It might not be the right thing to do, but it will be his idea on how to cope, considering nobody on the ship is helping him at all. Data says the Black Cluster formed a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. As usual, Picard only refers to kids as the boy. They decide going into the Black Cluster will get them all killed. Picard says we go in at 7 tomorrow right after breakfast. Deanna discovers Data has a son. She is thinking, wow, I knew there was something up between him and Tasha. While Timothy is ordering ice cream, Deanna is thinking, I really screwed this one up, didn't I? Picard is so happy about this. Data is thinking, I can finally torture someone like my hairstylist tortures me every morning. However, Timothy's self-therapy is slowly working. And how did Data get that painting from Lisa Douglas? They fly into the Black Cluster. They practice the slow roll through space dance. This is Picard Maneuver 3. Worf says I number 5, so it's time for a drink. Timothy laughed. But what are those things on the table? Deanna teaches Data how to do her job. Data takes Timothy to 10 forward for the most unhealthy meal possible. Data talks about his Pinocchio complex. We never learn what G units are. Worf says I number 6. Picard wants Data to take a drug test.
Want your analysis.
When they fire on the giant bowling ball, it has no effect. As usual, Riker is 1 inch behind Picard like the little ass-kisser that he is, and it turns out to be impossible to attack a ship in the Black Cluster. They ask Timothy what happened on the Vico. Timothy says he had a dream he lived in a big house on a farm. One guy there thought he was from Atlantis. Another guy had a bottle with a harem girl in it. Data says, Timothy, androids don't lie. Poor Timothy all this time thought he destroyed the ship because his arm hit a panel right when it got destroyed. No wonder he was so traumatized. Then he says that's how it started on the Vico when Worf said I number 7. Then he said I number 8. On the Vico, they must have been saying this ship wide for Timothy to hear them ask for more shields. Data does his magic calculating and finds out the shields are the problem. Worf says I number 9, and the ship is saved. The giant bowling ball was simply a reflection of their own shields. Picard and Riker practice synchronized sitting. Deanna and Data watch the kids through the window like creepers. Deanna tries to make Data feel miserable for her own job security. Data check in on Timothy. Timothy says, my parents are dead. I saved the ship, and nobody gave me credit for it. Just like Wesley Crusher, no wonder he quit. And they only sing one song on Starfleet because they don't want copyright claims. Data says, how about we go to the holodeck? I have programmed some dancing girls there that will cheer you up. Timothy says that will be acceptable. This is a very important reminder. Children who experience traumatic events have to be taken care of very carefully. Be sure to get them the best professional help you can. This is Sheila Franklin's third of 5 performances. Stephen Einspar was the teacher. Harley Venton was on Matlock, Sybil, and Seinfeld. And Joshua Harris was on Dallas for 6 years as Chris Ewing. Hero Worship. Where they go through a black cluster, do a terrible job at helping a boy with survivors, Guilt gets a high score of 93%. Not bad. And this episode was directed by Patrick Stewart, so I'm sure that high score will go straight to his head. Be sure to leave comments below, click that like button, the subscribe button, and share with all your friends, and stay tuned for Violations next week.